All right. And our presenter today is Dr. Tami Anderson. Tami has been a registered nurse for over 38 years. During her studies at the University of Minnesota and the Doctor of Nursing and Integrative Health and Healing program, she obtained her Reiki mastery training. Although her nursing career is filled with stories of courage, love, healing, loss, and growth, too numerous to count, and each has impacted and directed the path of her practice. Tami has learned firsthand about the suffering that comes with disease and the hopes that come with healing. The work Tami does in her private Reiki practice has positioned her in a very personal way to intimately understand both ends of the health and wellness spectrum. It has been Tami's experience that healing others begins with two people who embark on a journey from here to there, sharing, growing, and experiencing life at a moment in time. Tami believes that healing can be a very personal journey. It is one that can be enhanced by others who teach, encourage, guide, and love. And Tami strives to do this every day. So thank you, Tami, again for joining us. And I will let you teach our community about Reiki, self-Reiki, and partner Reiki.
Thank you, Taylor. I'm excited to be here, and so thank you very much for joining me as I have a great opportunity to talk about something I'm passionate about, and that is self-Reiki and partner Reiki. So we're going to talk about what Reiki is, how it works in the body, what are some of the health benefits to you, and then we're going to go over some video demonstrations of what it really looks like to do self-Reiki, or what it looks like to do partner Reiki, and how to do this really very powerful but simple technique. We're going to look at kind of the traditional hand positions and not get too tied up on that. So we're going to get started here. You know, the World Health Organization defines traditional healing, and they recognize it because it's a healing modalities that work throughout the world. Used for improving, treating, preventing illnesses, mental illnesses, and physical illness. And so Reiki is an ancient form of traditional healing. It's a Japanese form. It's been around for thousands of years, but it was really kind of popularized about 100 years ago. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But I do like to stress that Reiki, as healing as this therapy is, it's not meant to be used instead of, but in complement with other healing practices, and working together with your physician to find that mode of healing that works best for you. So Reiki, I guess we should say the modern Reiki, originated in the early 1900s with Dr. Mikao Usui. He was a Buddhist monk. He was a theologian that had an interest in medicine and philosophy, and he actually went on a kind of a mission by himself, and he went out into the mountains of Japan, and he was determined to find some kind of healing that a person could do with themselves. He just knew intuitively that there had to be some way that a person could kind of spark the body's innate ability to heal itself. And during that journey, he came across what we now call Reiki. Reiki has been taught from teacher to student, and hence the word Reiki master is what they call you when you've been through the entire training and you have the ability to teach others. It really quickly spread from there to one of his students, Dr. Takada, in World War II, and she went to Hawaii. And so that's kind of where it originated, and it spread all over the country and has gained popularity. So really, what is Reiki? It comes from the Japanese words Rei, which means God's wisdom or a higher power, and Ki, which is spirit or life force. And I think you kind of hear the words, life force or energy force or breath force, and that's exactly what it is. So it involves just laying your hands on your body to promote the flow of that energy through your body. I like to stress, because I really like to demystify what Reiki is. It's not a voodoo thing. It's not something with these crazy word chakras and all of this kind of terminology that kind of makes us raise our eyebrows. So Dr. Usui had never intended for it to be a religion or a philosophy. His intention with Reiki was for it to be a very kind of concrete healing of the physical body. But he also knew that there was a spiritual and emotional component to it, because our bodies are mind, body, soul. You can't disconnect them. What he discovered is that when he was able to put the body in a position where it could rest, restore, and relax, That is what triggers, just by the way our bodies are designed, that is what triggers natural healing. So it induces a deep sense of relaxation. It's kind of sort of, I kind of liken it to, well, there's two things that I think about. Number one, kind of a meditative state. I'm not any good at meditating, though. I get distracted when I do it. So it naturally puts your body in that kind of a calm meditative state. And I think of it sometime, it's like, I dare anybody in here to pick up a baby who's about to fall asleep and put it on their chest and then sit down on a couch. It gives you that kind of rest and relaxation, because you know as well as I do, in a few minutes, you'll both be sound asleep. So I kind of want to talk about the white elephant in the room. I want to talk about what chakras are. You know, when sometimes I think when you hear the word chakra, if you don't understand what it means, it can sound really new age. It can sound really strange. It can sound something like that you're just really not interested in. But really, what the chakra, excuse me, represent is, it is an Eastern word for an energy center in your body. When we define what that means in the Western world, it is literally where there's a large amount of blood supply, where there is a large amount of neuron connection or neurotransmitters that are released, where you have glands in your body that release hormones. And so all of those energies, as they center in these particular areas, can get sluggish, because energy moves things. And we know intuitively that the higher your energy levels are, the better that you feel. So Reiki helps move that energy through your body, through those pathways. So when we refer to chakras, it really is an area of blood supply, neurological supply, lymphatic supply, and hormonal supply. So how does it really work? The theory behind this, and there's a lot of research that's being done at the University of Arizona on this, but it's believed that there's an electromagnetic field around our bodies, and that's not quite so hard to believe. We know that everything is made up of ions that move, positive and negative ions. And we see that when somebody puts electrodes on our chest and we see an EKG reading. We see that when somebody puts electrodes on our head and we see an EEG reading. It's really the same kind of thing. And so the research that's being done is showing that when you put your hands on your body for long periods of time, particularly, and you know, we don't generally touch ourselves for long periods of time. So when we do that, it causes that energy to flow. It causes that energy to move. And when it causes that energy to move and increases blood flow to those areas, it decreases heart rate, it decreases blood pressure, and it moves your body from that fight or flight state. That's where we live. We are bombarded 24/7 with do this, do that. It's become really, we've kind of normalized in society that we're not really successful unless we work full time and raise a family and are the Cub Scout leader and do this and do that and do this. We really don't ever get ourselves out of that state. When your body learns to live in that state, it releases a lot of hormones, it releases a lot of neurotransmitters that prevent it from going back into what we call the parasympathetic state, which is the rest, relax, and restore state. So we're constantly under stress. What Reiki does, and what the research shows with Reiki, is that it helps to turn the body from that fight or flight, like I'm ready to go swinging, into the form that we are meant to live in for most of our lives, which is the rest, restore, and relax. When our body is in the rest, restore, and relax state, there are several things, just by the way it is designed, that are released that induce natural and innate healing within our own bodies. And we all know that our bodies have the ability to heal themselves. If you cut yourself, it's going to heal again. If you get an injury on your liver, it will generally regenerate. So it puts your body in the best position to do that. So what does that really mean for us? We know that we have a fast-paced world where we're go, 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 go. So awareness, when your body and when your mind start to give some signals and cues, when you start listening to your body and what it's doing, and kind of an example that I can give you is that oftentimes when we have pain, we know that it's coming. You know, we feel that it's coming. Maybe we moved wrong, maybe we did something, maybe that pain is already there. And then you start to feel a little anxious about it. And then that thing kind of spirals. You can't find a comfortable position. The pain escalates. If you pay attention to the cues in your body when that first feeling starts, like this is just starting to start, this is not going to be good, and you know that it's going to escalate. And I think another example of that are so many people that get kind of an aura before a migraine headache. This is where Reiki can add a lot of needed relief. Research studies show that doing self Reiki, just 10 or 15 minutes once or twice a day, can lower your heart rate, lower your blood pressure. And when your body does that, it signals your body to return to the state of rest and restore and relaxation. The great thing about Reiki is that the more you do it, the quicker your body learns to go back into that state where it can start to heal. So you have natural endorphins that are released. You have all of the calming hormones. You have all of the calming things that your body naturally releases to heal joint pain, hip pain, headache pain, anxiety, depression. And so there's research that shows that Reiki is a benefit to not only physical, but mental and spiritual aspects as well. Pain relief, it's a great aid for pain relief, quality of sleep, nausea and gastric disturbances. So if you're having secondary side effects from medications that you're taking, it's been shown to increase mobility, decrease anxiety, depression, fatigue. And overall, I think the most interesting one is that it just overall improves quality of life. So we're going to go over the self Reiki hand positions, and I don't want anybody to get kind of too caught up in what the positions are, because that's really this is just a guide. But the principle of Reiki is that you want to hold your hands on your body in the same position without moving it for 2 to 5 minutes. And I think the first time that you try to do it, it kind of feels awkward because we don't touch each other for that length of time. We don't touch ourselves for that length of time. So to put your hands on top of your head and hold them there for 5 minutes can seem kind of awkward. I encourage people to listen to spa music. And there'll be a little bit more in the demonstration, but a lot of spa music are 3 to 4 minutes long, and you can kind of time the hand position changes. But the concept of self Reiki is to start at the top of your body, and I'll show you some modified positions if you have shoulder or elbow pain, and then to move down on the body and continue to move to the neck, to the back, to the chest, to the sides, to your hip bones, to the back of your back. And these are just suggested Reiki hand positions. There's no right or wrong. You'll probably get most benefit if you start at the head and you work all the way down to your knees. And then if you're able to pick up your feet, to put your feet up on your knee and to hold your hand in your feet, hold your your foot in your hands. And if you can't do that, it doesn't require, and this is kind of the great thing about Reiki. So if you have a post-surgical site that is very, very painful, you don't need to do Reiki over that site in order to get the benefit of the calming and the relaxation from Reiki. So if you have a surgical incision on your abdomen, you can do Reiki on your head and your chest and your knees, and you're going to get the same benefit as if you actually touched over your abdomen. So when it comes to your feet, because feet are really important part of your body, I think we don't pay as much attention to them sometimes as we should. And our feet and our ankles and our knees take a lot of stress. But you can simply put your hands on your legs and put one foot on top of the other and hold it there for 3 minutes. So those are some, just like I said, just that I don't want anybody to get hung up on what position do I have to do first or what position do I have to do second. The concept is to lay both of your hands on your body for an extended period of time while you're relaxing. So daily self Reiki for anywhere between 20 and 40 minutes is recommended. And a lot of times they say it's best to do it in split sessions, and it doesn't get too overwhelming and it doesn't take up too much time. Research has shown that as little as 10 minutes of Reiki, though, can be very, very effective. So you want to really experiment to find a position that you can engage, that you can touch your body parts, but that is very restful. You want to go into a room that is cool or dark, whatever your definition of relaxation is. You kind of want to turn the phone off. You don't want distractions. So you can lie down, you can sit in a chair, and I'll give you some tips for doing partner Reiki. Very relaxing. I think one of the neatest things about doing partner Reiki is that, and I know this from being a Reiki practitioner for the last 7 years, I get as much relaxation from touching someone's body as they get from me touching their body. And so it's really a beautiful thing to be able to do with a partner, a daughter, a son, a spouse, a loved one, because it's kind of an opportunity to do self-care together. And that's one of the beauties of it. It is really a nice time. My husband had bone cancer a few years ago and had excruciating pain. And he would tell me all the time that the most powerful relief that he got was when I did a Reiki session on him. But it was a beautiful kind of spiritual healing moment for the two of us as he was going through that very terrible and painful disease. So Reiki can be performed by yourself. You can certainly go to a practitioner like me, but a partner or a friend. It's easy to learn. A lot of people really feel that instrumental music or sounds of nature can really enhance things. And I mentioned that you don't have to do it directly over a site or injury if you're afraid to be touched. I do encourage people, though, to drink plenty of water afterwards. If you do a longer session, occasionally I will have clients tell me that they get a little nausea, and that's from getting a little dehydrated. So the kind of toxins that are released in your body as energy flows are very similar to massage therapy. So Reiki is particularly suitable for people over 50. It's easy to learn. It doesn't require any special skill, no equipment, no technology. It is free if you have a chair to sit in and hands to use. And it's adaptable to any kind of special need that you might have. So a lot of benefits. And it's also something you can do in the comfort of your own home without having to reach out to somebody else for doing it. I won't spend a lot of time on this, but I just wanted to kind of briefly let you know, and this will be in a PowerPoint that will be available to you, is that there are some 5 and 10-minute treatments that you can do for very specific common side effects or ailments that really can interfere with your life. So anxiousness and mental fog, there's just a couple hand positions, headaches, insomnia. This is probably one of my favorite ones. It is called the heart chakra, where you just put your hands over your heart. We'll go over that in the demonstration too. Back pain and nausea. So those might be worth your time to look at when you have a minute. You want to hold in each position for about 2 to 5 minutes. So I'm going to launch right into the self Reiki and partner Reiki video. It's about 20-25 minutes long, and we'll have time for questions and answers after that. In this video presentation, we're going to demonstrate self Reiki, the hand positions, how long to hold them for, and a few other tips and tricks for having a successful Reiki session. And we're also going to demonstrate partner Reiki. So whether you're out in the audience interested in performing Reiki on a loved one, or you'd like to have a loved one perform Reiki on you, we're going to give you some tips and ideas how to do that. I'm going to demonstrate actually on a client who's been seeing me for about a year. So for your Reiki sessions to really be optimal, for them to provide the most benefit for your body, it's good to start with 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes at night, and try to do that daily. You're going to see the most benefit for your body. You're going to see rest and relaxation come about. As we talked about during the video presentation or during the PowerPoint presentation, Reiki has an effect when you do it frequently. So the more you do it, the more benefit to your body, because it actually teaches your body from going through that kind of fight or flight stage of always constantly being under stress, and that to-do list running through your head, and anxiety and worrying about how am I going to do this? I'm not feeling well. And it puts your body back into the state that it's intended to live in, which is the restore, relaxation, and rest phase. So we're going to help you on that journey today. So when we first get started, the most important thing to do is to find a comfortable position to be seated in. You can sit in a chair. I should say sit in a chair. You can lay on the floor. You can lay on a yoga mat. You can lay on a bed. You can just get in any position that's comfortable for you. If you have a sore hip and you prefer laying down, or you want to get in a position that is really most comfortable, that you can just kind of sink into your chair, sink into the surface that you're laying on, and provide a restful environment for you. Speaking of the environment, you can see the room that we're in right now has low lighting. You can have it a dark room, but you really want it to be a quiet, cool space without interruptions. You want to close the door and not have the kids interrupt you. Tell people that it's just some moments for yourself, that you don't have telephones ringing. You want to put those on silence so that you can really dedicate this time just for your healing. a lot of people also find, even though you're in a quiet environment, a lot of people will find that playing some kind of music, relaxation music, Reiki music, spa music, something that's kind of quiet and peaceful, that is not distracting, will kind of help you get into the rhythm of the meditative state that you're kind of putting your body in as you put it into its innate ability to heal itself. So another tip for listening to music, and I've got two websites that you can access, or YouTubes that can access, which are free Reiki music. When you're doing Reiki on yourself or you're doing Reiki on a partner, you want to hold your hands in the same position for about 2 to 3 minutes, which is an extraordinary long time. We don't usually touch ourselves or touch somebody else for that long without moving our hands. We have a tendency to hug each other and pat and do things like that, but we don't just lay our hands and touch our hands. So it can seem like a really long time, and it can be distracting. Wait, did I get to that 2 minutes? You don't want to be thinking about that so much, but you can simply change hand positions as a new song begins, as a new song starts to play. You want to hold your hands in the same position on your body for 2 to 3 minutes, but I don't want anybody to get hung up on having to have the positions memorized. The whole key and the whole point of doing Reiki on your body is to start at the top of your body and slowly move down. And as we talked about in the presentation, the chakras. So the chakras are kind of the Eastern word for the Western world of a center where you have a lot of blood flow, where you have a lot of neuron connection, where you have glands in your body that are producing hormones, where you have lymphatic drainage, where you have those things going on. And placing your hands in those positions for long periods of time helps warm them up, increases the blood flow to them. And as you increase blood flow to an area, it triggers your body to decrease your blood pressure, decrease your heart rate, and move your body from that fighting position into a position of rest and relaxation. So you're creating a meditative state without having to meditate. I know that I'm not good at meditating. I get distracted real easily. But this is a technique that kind of does it for you. So as we get started, just a couple more tips. A lot of people too, as they're learning how to perform Reiki on themselves, will feel like a sensation. They'll feel warmth, they'll feel tingling in their hands. And when that tingling starts to go away, that can kind of be a trigger that it's time to move on to the next position, that you've kind of done the work that needs to be done in that area. So we're going to get started. The last thing that I want to focus on or to remind you of is that many times, in fact, most of my clients will tell me when they're doing self-Reiki or they're having Reiki performed on them, they'll see colors. Colors just float into your mind. They're a nice distraction. So if you can find those colors that float in and you just kind of focus on those colors and where those colors are going and how those colors are changing, it helps keep your mind clear of those intrusive thoughts that come in like, I need to do this and I need to do that. When those thoughts come into your mind, just simply push them away and focus either on your breath or focus on the relaxation of the colors that are floating in front of you. So with that, we're going to get started. I'm going to introduce you to one of my clients I've been seeing for about a year. I'm going to switch positions with her so she can take the seat here. This is Patty. Patty is a 57-year-old female who has suffered her entire life from chronic migraine headaches and hip pain from an injury that she sustained at work. She found that using medications every time she had a migraine headache was starting to interfere with her work. They were interfering with her personal life, with her time off that was spent trying to control her headaches, and wanted to find a non-pharmacological method that she could do herself so she didn't have to run someplace else to have something done. And so over the course of time, Patty's learned how to do self-Reiki to help manage her chronic hip pain and her chronic pain in her head. So we're going to start the session by taking a few deep cleansing breaths. And when you take those cleansing breaths, just kind of close your eyes for just a minute. Put your feet firmly on the ground. You kind of want to ground yourself in your chair. Let your shoulders relax, kind of sink your hips into the chair, relax your knees. Just pay attention, kind of do a body scan and make sure that there's nothing that's causing a lot of stress where you're sitting. Just let it relax into the position that you're in and breathe in through the nose. Deep cleansing breath and out through the mouth. And focus on those breaths as you take 2 or 3. Patty enjoys listening to spa music, and we're going to kind of work on kind of listening to when those songs change, to change hand positions, although I'm going to guide you through it as well. And with just a couple more breaths, we're going to get started. So Patty's going to start by putting her hands on top of her head. If you find that this position is not comfortable, it's hard to have your elbows up, or if you have shoulder pain, I'm going to show you a modified position, and Patty's just going to lower her hands to right on the sides of her neck, kind of behind her, and tuck her elbows into her chest, kind of using her body to keep the muscles from getting tense or sore. And we're going to hold this position for about 3 minutes as we get started. Continue to focus on your breath, focusing on the air going in your body, nourishing your body, and exhale through your mouth. Remembering that this is a time for you to relax. Remember, as those thoughts come into your head, just push them aside. Focus on your breathing, any colors you might see. As the music is changing, we're going to switch our position to hands on the face.
I can see Patty's respirations getting slower and deeper. I can see her shoulders relaxing into the chair. Her knees are soft. We're going to switch positions to hands on the sides of the neck, behind the neck. Once again, if this is an uncomfortable position, you can modify it by simply putting your hands on the top of your shoulders by your neck and tucking your elbows, letting them rest on your body for support, whichever way is most comfortable. We're going to switch our hands to put on our chest, one hand on top of the other. You can have your hands overlap, you can have them parallel to each other, whichever is most comfortable. This is called the heart chakra. It's probably one of the most well-known areas to do Reiki. If you're having trouble sleeping at night, this is a good position to simply hold your hands on your chest as you lie on your back or your side. You can even lay on your stomach if that's how you prefer to sleep, with your hands underneath your body. And just holding those hands in place for 5 or 6 minutes often induces sleep and a restful kind of peacefulness. It works really well too if you fall asleep and have trouble staying asleep. Once again, close your eyes and just focus on the breaths that you're taking. As you continue with your self-Reiki session, there's other positions you can continue, thinking of going from the top of the body down to the bottom of the body. You can put your hands on your shoulders on either side. You can cross them over and hold for 2 to 3 minutes. Go back to the heart chakra. And then you can simply place your hands lower on your abdomen. Continue down your abdomen every 2 to 3 minutes. Placing your hand, kind of think of placing one over the other, one below the other, till you reach your pelvic area. And put your hands on your hips, on your sides, your thighs, your knees. And it's always good to end a Reiki session with hands on your feet. If that's a hard position for you to reach down to, you can cross a leg with a foot. And if you can't get them with your hands, you can put your hands on your thighs and put one foot on top of the other. The same energy will flow through as your body touches. It doesn't have to be with your hands. Do that for 2 minutes. Put your other foot on top of your foot gently and quietly. So I'm going to step right into partner Reiki. We use the same technique. You want to make sure that you're comfortable, so you can start the session standing. If I was going to be able to do a whole partner Reiki session, I would have a chair next to Patty so that I didn't bend and strain my back. And it's a good thing to do that too if you're going to do it with a partner in bed, so that you're not straining your back as you're standing stationary for 2 to 3 minutes. So find a comfortable way to position yourself. The nice thing about Reiki is that the person who gives Reiki receives the same relaxation as the person who is receiving Reiki. So it's a really kind of a nice thing to do together. It's certainly a way to participate in self-care together. So we're going to start now as the music starts, and I like to start with the top of the head and hold it for 2 to 3 minutes. Once again, I feel warmth. Almost starts immediately. And some tingling in my hands. I can see Patty's hands are relaxed on her legs. Her breathing is slow and steady. Moving to the next position. For purposes of the video, I'm doing it a little bit less time than I normally would. Let me switch positions again, a little bit sooner than I would if I was doing partner Reiki on a loved one, just so you can see some of the hand positions. To her shoulders. When I'm working on the body and I work down the limbs, you can go to the elbows. A nice position is to simply take your partner's hand, clasp it in your hand, and hold for 2 to 3 minutes, and gently lay it back down. When I'm working on the limbs, I like to go back and ground the heart chakra. You can do it from the side or from the front. When I've completed that area for a minute or two, I go down to the abdomen, and I'll demonstrate on myself, right below the breastbone. After 2 to 3 minutes, I drop my hand below. And below again, 2 to 3 minutes. You put your hands on the side. And switch sides. On the hips. The lower back. Anytime that I feel like I'm losing focus or not as relaxed as I might want to be, I put my hands up to the heart chakra. Really grounds you, helps you focus on your breath. Down to the thighs, the knees, and the feet. When you're doing Reiki on a partner, you can sit on the floor and cradle their feet in your hands. When I'm completing a session, and whether that's self-Reiki or whether that's partner Reiki, I like to end the session by going back up to the crown chakra. When you think about the blood supply, the neuron supply, all of the things that are firing through our head, one last moment just to calm that area. And when the session is done, it's important to take just a few deep cleansing breaths once again, in and out. In and out. And as your session ends, be sure to drink plenty of water. You can feel kind of parched. You can feel a little bit like you feel when you've had a massage, when they release all of the toxins that are in your body. And we'll let Patty just come back to her awake state here, following her Reiki session. Was that pretty relaxing, Patty?
Yes.
You looked relaxed.
It's time to go to bed.
So I hope that you've enjoyed this brief demonstration, and we wish you nothing but the best on your healing and your healing journey with Reiki therapy.
All right. So I hope everybody is feeling really relaxed and was able to either join Tami in her demonstration to perform self-Reiki on yourself, or you were able to learn some hand positions to maybe use later on today. But now I'd like to open up the floor for some questions or comments for Tami. You can direct your questions to the chat box, or you can raise your hand as well, and I can unmute you to ask Tami those questions. And if we run out of time today, I am going to write down some of the questions, or you can email me. My email is listed here below. I also emailed you all yesterday, so you should have my email in your inbox if you have any questions that you may think of later on. And Tami, I already have some questions coming in. So our first one is from Rosina. She says, does it work the same with hands on the clothes, or does it need to be skin on skin?
So that's a really good question. I'm glad you asked that. And I can't believe I didn't talk about that earlier. I think that's one of the nicest thing about Reiki. So it not only you can certainly do it on bare skin, but having a barrier of clothing has absolutely no negative effect on it whatsoever. Almost all of the clients that I see are fully clothed. Here's another thing that I haven't really kind of gone into, but it is an important concept. If you are wanting to do Reiki on yourself or someplace else, and a large area of your body is really in a lot of pain, you can do Reiki that is as effective as touching your body if you hold your hands just an inch above your body. So clothes on, bare skin, or just above the body, all three have the exact same effect. Great question.
Thank you. I also have another question from a fairly younger attendee who says, because they're younger and have a lot of anxiety, do you think they would still benefit from Reiki?
Yes, in fact, there is probably more research out there on the benefits of Reiki for anxiety than almost any other problem that you can have, physical or emotional problems. So they've done several studies just recently, as a matter of fact, especially through the COVID pandemic, with people that have high stress jobs that are finding that they're dealing with constant anxiety. One of the results of that study, which was a pretty good sized study, so they did Reiki 3 times a week for 20 to 40 minutes, and they did it for 20 weeks. What they found at the end of that 20 weeks is that there wasn't a single participant whose stress level or anxiety was the same as it was when they began. So it was all markedly improved. So once again, Reiki is very effective for anxiety. And if you catch it early and start with the head, and you might want to even look on the Reiki hand positions and treatment symptom page that I have on there. Like if you have 10 or 15 minutes when you recognize anxiety is coming on, is very, very effective to start right then. But once again, consistency is how you're going to get the most benefit. Another great question. Thank you.
I have a few questions about additional resources and additional hand placement. So I wanted to address that this presentation with the images that Tami presented earlier will be posted to our website, and I can send that link out to everybody. And another question was, do you have any additional Reiki resources, Tami, that you can think of or offer?
So yes, there are 2 Reiki associations, and I will get the contact information on Reiki, the Reiki association. So they're national associations that are constantly coming out with new research. They're very user friendly, by the way, that you don't have to have a medical degree to try to navigate through them. So those Reiki resources are excellent. So you can go there, learn more about it. You can find a practitioner in your area if you decide that you want to go for a practitioner Reiki. But if you just want to learn more about techniques for that, I will forward how to access those sites to Taylor, and Taylor, you can get that out to them in an email form. Is that correct?
Yes, I'll be happy to. And I can also post it on the website as well, which will share the link. So looks like Duna, Jaya, and Martha. I hope that answered the question about additional resources and additional resources on hand positions. I have a question from Summer, who I believe has recently met you at the Wellness Center. She says, what do you think about using tuning forks and crystals during a session?
So that's a really good question too. All things, whether they are innate or whether they are live, have an energy associated with them, right? I mean, we look at a rainbow and we see the different colors, and it's because there's a different energy level there. They know that all rocks and all stones have different energy levels. And there's more and more research that's being done on, so quantum physics, that kind of stuff. I actually have crystals placed all over my Reiki studio because I feel that there is peaceful energy with those. I think it's a very individual choice. I don't think it's necessary. I don't know that you don't have to do that. Some people like to use essential oils. I think whatever environment you put yourself in that you find relaxing and is a good relaxing environment for you. I feel good sometimes when I look at my beautiful crystals that are around the room. I like candles, I like essential oils. So whatever room you put yourself in that can induce the greatest state of relaxation, you're just going to enhance your Reiki therapy session. And I hope that answered your question.
Thank you, Tami. I have a few more coming in. Do you recommend doing self-Reiki session during a certain time of the day?
I think it's most important that you do it. And that I know that the clients that I have that have the most success with their self-Reiki, because that's something I teach them from the minute that they come into my studio, because I don't want to turn into their, pharmacology. I don't want to be their drug. Oh, I have to go see Tami to feel better. The clients that I have, and for myself, I find that if I do it consistently, on the same time-ish, if I can, is the greatest benefit. A lot of people find just 5 or 10 minutes when they wake up in the morning and 5 or 10 minutes when they go to bed. That's kind of for general wellness and sleep hygiene and just kind of, getting the end of your day out of your system and starting your day off with your mind, body, and spirit in the right place. But if you're having issues like pain, headaches, things that are really, really interfering with your life, anytime you do it is going to provide some relief to you. So it kind of depends on what your goal is.
Thank you. Are there any local practitioners in the Northeast Florida area that you know of that one of our attendees could visit?
That's a really good question, too. I do not know one of the practitioners personally, but I have clients that have been to this studio, and I can provide that information as well to Taylor, and she can get that information out to you. I know there are several. I'm only familiar with one. I'm sure there's some good ones. I also have access on one of my professional websites, and I am more than happy to find out where some practitioners are that I could contact and kind of let them know the content of this audience, who's in this audience, and I'd be happy to provide those to Taylor as well.
Thank you, Tami. I think we have time for just 2 more quick questions here. A follow-up question from the presentation: what chakra place should they finish on at the end of the Reiki?
That's a really good question too. I have it in the way that I was trained, and just kind of the way that the body works. I go from head all the way down to the feet. I always end on the crown chakra. So it once again is that final chance to really calm your mind, calm your body, calm your head. And it is that really kind of final opportunity to stay in that meditative state. And then when you walk away from that, just slowly allow yourself to wake up. So in my training, we start at the head, go all the way down to the feet, and then end with that final cradle on the top of your heart chakra. And the theory behind that too was that it is your final that is your chakra, that it really kind of connects you more to your spiritual side. And so it's that last moment, particularly in the morning, if you're going to do it, to get your mind, your body, and your spirit kind of all in the same place before you go out and face your day. That's a really good question.
Thank you. And a comment, it looks like one of our attendees is a level 3 Reiki practitioner, Sarah May, who has attended some of our webinars and events before. So thank you, Sarah, for sharing your information. And our last question for today, and if any extras come through, I'll be happy to ask Tami and follow up with you at a later time. But our last question says, when you do Reiki, do you have to change hand positions, or can you keep it in one position?
You know, I don't think there's a hard and fast rule that you can't change positions. And let me kind of clarify that real quickly. A lot of people that are having insomnia will take just that one position on their chest, and that can be very, very effective. If I ever can't fall asleep, or I've got too much going on in my mind, if I just put my hands on my chest, usually I'm asleep before I know that I am. So from that perspective, yes. I think if you're trying to do kind of a whole body rest, relaxation, healing, it's probably a good idea to continue to work through the chakras, because that we're encouraging that flow to go all the way through your body. There's a lot of evidence to substantiate that when those things don't flow properly, that's where disease starts. And that's been, documented in Eastern medicine for millennia now, that those blockages in those areas. So I think in order to have your body in the best position to heal and to keep your body at its optimal state, I would probably use at least a few of the chakras. And once again, going from head down to feet, that's always been my practice, and that's where I've had the best success. But if you have time to do one chakra or 2 chakra because you feel some symptoms coming on, I still believe that you can get benefit from that. How is that for kind of a wishy-washy answer? There's really kind of no right and no wrong. And I suggest and I encourage you to, if you're going to start this practice, play around with it a little bit and see what works best for you.
Great. Thank you, Tami, again for a wonderful presentation. And thank you all who joined us today to learn a little bit more about self-Reiki and partner Reiki. I am going to go ahead and send out an email with all of the follow-up information that everyone has requested. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you for joining.